At this point, they had not announced the brackets for the tournament. In storyline, they didn't even have brackets yet because we were still getting teams throughout the show getting put together. So I don't know what brackets Tony had that he'd promised this weekend in storyline.
Well, he had them. He said they were going to announce the brackets, and they did.
Dave, you don't understand. He said Saturday he had the brackets, but on this show, teams were still getting put together.
No, he said
so
Saturday,
when this show started, he didn't have brackets.
He said Saturday he was going to announce the brackets.
I know, but he didn't have them when the show started. Because throughout the show, teams were being put together.
He announced them before the end of the show. He just said he would announce the brackets on the show.
So in storyline, he was hoping that teams would get together during the show.
And by the end of the show, he had brackets just as he advertised. That's a silly criticism.
No, Dave, this is not a silly criticism.
Yes,
they were putting teams together as the show went on. This is something Ava would do. I'm going to have brackets on Tuesday. Hopefully some teams get together during the show so I can put them in.
He said that they would have brackets on the show.
Yeah, that means as a promoter, he's already got his brackets done. He's just going to announce them.
He never said that. He never said that. He said he would have the brackets announced on the show. If he had the brackets, why didn't he announce them on Sunday or on Saturday?
Because he's a promoter. He wants people to watch Dynamite.
Okay, well then
tune into Dynamite. I'm going to give you these brackets I've made.
And he did.
Instead, he had a blank bracket apparently, and luckily
he did a story. During the show, the storyline was that he had a match put together where the winners of the match, which is this match that we're talking about, would get to pick their first round opponent, and then he would fill in the brackets after that. Because that was announced. I don't know what day they announced that, but I think it was yesterday. So obviously he wasn't going to have the brackets at the beginning of the show because they were having a match to determine one of the first round matches. Then, so he couldn't have the brackets done.
So who was going to be in this tournament if Athena hadn't shown up out of the blue?
He could have
hour and 45 minutes into the show tell Mercedes, "I want to be your partner."
He could have had who knows what. That doesn't matter. He had when he announced the brackets, they were a team.
At this point, they had not announced the brackets for the tournament. I got to mention one thing here, okay? Because I saw people on the board, they were angry at me. That means I did a good job on the show last night. So anyway,
people everywhere are angry at you.
They're usually angry at me for one reason or the other. Do you guys remember? Have you ever watched a Raw show? You ever watched like a WWE show? And this happens on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Okay, where you're watching the show, and then like two people get in a fight or whatever, and then Nick Aldis goes, "You guys are going to wrestle in the main event tonight." And what does everybody say? They go, "You booked a show and you didn't have a main event, right?"
That is what the pundits say.
Yeah, it happens all the time. There was like a SmackDown a while ago where like Nick Aldis made 3 matches for SmackDown during the show. And it's like, what were you expecting to happen if nothing had happened on the show? You had 1 match booked? Like, what's going on here? And of course, we ridicule, it's ridiculous, okay? Or remember that time when Ava, my beloved Ava, said, "I will announce the teams for the Iron Survivor Challenge on NXT Tuesday." The show starts. She literally announces a captain. Santino announces the other captain. And then everybody, like, the captain is responsible for putting these teams together. It's like, I thought you said you were going to announce the teams. You announced one person and they had to do all the work. We ridiculed it, right? Well, Tony Khan said, "I'm going to have the brackets for the women's." Like, he announced that there's going to be a tournament like a month ago. He's had a month, okay? And after a while, we're like, is there even going to be a women's tag, a tag title tournament? So on Saturday, he announces on Wednesday, I'm going to give you guys the brackets, okay? So Wednesday starts, and, the show starts going on, and there ain't no brackets. And then there's a match, and, like, the story is the winners get to choose who they face in the first round. And then, like, an hour and 45 minutes into the show, Athena appears out of nowhere. Like, she's been gone forever. She just shows up and she says, "Hey, Mercedes, you want to be my partner in this tournament?" And then, after that, they show the brackets. And it's like, so you didn't have brackets. You said you were going to have brackets, but you didn't have brackets. You certainly didn't have all the teams because, like, teams are, making matches during the show. And then you're creating teams an hour and 45 minutes into the show. Well, I dare bring that up. I'm a bad guy. Dave defends it. Well, he said there'd be brackets by the end of the show. There were. And then the fans are like, Guys, it's ridiculous, okay? You didn't have brackets. That's it. Now, I do want to say this. So apparently there was a thing on Twitter today. Billy Starks apparently is upset that Athena chose Mercedes as a partner. So I guess we're supposed to believe, and maybe this is the story, that he did have all the teams. One of them was Athena and Billy, but then right before they announced the brackets, Athena went and asked Mercedes. And so they had to change those brackets at the last second. I don't know what it is, everybody. But listen, if you can't stand fair criticism across all of these shows, don't talk to me. I don't want to hear it. But anyway, these are the brackets.
Sometimes it's fair. Other times it isn't with them. They're starting to realize what a lot of other people are starting to realize. You can't hide behind these numbers that these shows are now steadily putting out each and every week, and the booking of these shows. I laughed the entire time that this show was happening. It puzzles my mind how he can just look at Collision and Dynamite and put people that should be on Dynamite on Collision, and the people that should be on Collision, he puts on Dynamite. It's weird. If you're trying to build something with the Young Bucks that it can have like a really good payoff, I think you would have that be on them in a matches. As far as these tag teams, this division, this whatever that he has over here, he has a lot of work, man. And that man was front row and center on this show. And he came in, he got out quick. He showed his Pixar looking face ass on this TV, and the whole time he's just so uncomfortable with being on camera. Like, did y'all notice that? He's so uncomfortable. He wants to be a character on TV. He wants to, but he's uncomfortable and he's awkward. And he's looking at them, and then he's looking at the cameraman. And then how he doesn't know how to. He was so nervous. He came, boy. He was just excited when they knocked on his door. He was back there with FTR and them. And they was like, all right, he is, Tony. Hey, it is. You ready? You ready? All right, guys, and let's go. It made that whole segment just as fake, phony, so indie. This show reminded me a lot of watching MLW show. It's starting to feel like watching an MLW show to me. A lot of people want to say that, okay, these tag titles that they got that they got for the women, right? All right. I mean, give them something to do, because before then, everybody was just taking L's to everybody. So it's a good thing for these championships to be on, but at the same time, I did not know that there was going to be a brackets for it. But Tony said there was going to be brackets, and he had no brackets. And then Daniel Bryan was like, how you going to be in the tournament? We don't know who's in the tournament. We don't know. How you going to declare to be in the tournament when we don't even know who's going to be in? What these brackets at? Darby Allin just came out there to just tell y'all that he love AEW. This is where he gonna be at. This is where he gonna do all his little spooky, death-defying shit at. That's it. And then he just walked off. No match. No dialogue between him or anybody else from the Death Riders. But he came out there and tried to and helped out some people. So that's going to continue that little story going forward. But what you going to do now? You've done everything in the sun. And I thought that the I Quit match, you got to have the person say I quit. There was no microphone. There was no anything like that. The I Quit matches that I grew up on, like, you got to have the microphone to say I quit. You know what I mean? Say, hey, do you quit? Yes or no? You know what I mean? Like something like that. But you never heard Moxley say, I quit. The ref just looked down and just got up and then ring the bell. But what are you going to do with, see, if the title was on, if that AEW title was on Moxley and this happened, this would have meant something right here. But this just means nothing. Like where is it going to go from here? Like, why do they have to feud now? Like, what's going to be the end of it? What, blood and guts? It's like the thing that just never ends. Hurt Syndicate, they are just a powerhouse of a group. They over here, they getting all this money, doing the little work. MVP said, this is where we going to retire at. And you want to know something? I do not blame you. Stay over there and get your money. And then when it's all over, you can hash everything up with Triple H, and then you can go and get into the hall. But for right now, just stay over here and just get your money. This man gonna pay top dollar. Top dollar. I mean, he's gonna pay it. And they don't have to do anything. You know, this man messed up they booking. Okay, how can you go from beating the Gates of Agony twice in a row, like beat them down, then they earned a title match against them out of the blue. They beat them down there. Then they beat them down after that too. And then they just gain a victory somehow. And then they got beat down when they was at the Daily Place. I mean, beat the hell out of them. Then the week after that, they won a tag match, and then they went to the pay-per-view, and then they got beat again. It's like, this man don't know what he don't know how to book. Get this man off the book. Now I'm getting tired of this now. Now this man sit his little goof troop ass out here and trying to think that he fulfilling all his fantasies here. You saw how happy that man was to be on TV? Talking to the Young Bucks. Hey guys, funny that you mention it. I just think that you guys are the best. And man, what? It was so fucking funny. His dreams are being realized. Meanwhile, his company is about to crumble. Warner Brothers Discovery is they too far in debt. They up for sale. Somebody gonna buy that, and somebody gonna look at this shit. Tony, you got a year and a half on your TV deal. A year and a half. In 2027, is gonna be a nice reflection of the years that you've had up until this point. Where do they go from here? Further things that just disappoint me about Chris Statlander, you know, this whole Mercedes Moné situation, it just boggles my mind. You know, a year ago, Mercedes beat that girl at Full Gear, beat her down. Chris Statlander has been on a 2-win streak. She won the title, then she defended the title. So she's on a 2-win streak. Before that, prior to that, she was on a losing streak. Now she's the champion. Now I'm supposed to take her seriously. Okay. Now, the goofiness, I can take Toni Storm doing that because she is solely committed to the character. Okay, I get that. But you trying to act like you this bigger, you know, that we should all fear you. You from the galaxy, you Star Trek, all that shit right there. But you're not putting people down. I'm pretty sure that Toni Storm is finna get a championship here, or she's finna go on like on a little vacation. She needs to at this point. But at the same time, they have nobody over in this division that can carry this division if that woman chooses to go away. So at this point, you really do need Toni to be the champion because none of these other women are established, which goes into my point right here with Mercedes. Now, this girl is winning all these belts around all over the world, all over through the independents. This woman is collecting these championships. She's going ham. She can't be stopped. She got all of them. Where is this going to, what's the payoff to this? The payoff has to come with her winning a world championship to complete this whole thing you see right here. All of these belts mean nothing if you don't have a world championship with this. You might as well just be the girl just collecting secondary championships. Now she's comparing herself to Ultimo Dragon. Ultimo Dragon, in the day, he held like 13, 14 championships, but they were big-time singles championships, and some of them were world heavyweight championships in other little different promotions and territories. But right here, Mercedes is just gathering all of these championships up. And on one hand, I like it, but on the other hand, I'm kind of like, all right, it's starting to become ridiculous. This is starting to become ridiculous here now. But this could mean something if she wins the championship. If she beats Statlander for the championship, then that would make all of this make sense, because you can't have this type of character if you're not willing to be the world champion and really represent this title. Because then if you don't have the world championship, you're just a star carrying around these secondary titles trying to make them mean something, but you're not a big enough star as it is yourself. You see what I'm going with this? Mercedes needs a world championship at this point. Now, maybe Tony was like, listen, you're not finna beat me. You're not finna beat me. I don't want to drop this belt to you. I'll drop it to anybody else, but I ain't finna drop it to you. Okay, I'll drop it to Statlander. You can win it off of her. Because there's no way that Mercedes is going to lose this match at Full Gear. There's no way. There's no way that this can happen. But another thing that I'm scared of the story that we have now until Full Gear. This is a long way to Full Gear. Full Gear is in the later end of November towards Thanksgiving. That's a long time from right now all the way until then. And I do not trust this man right here to give us something that can just make this make sense here, because Statlander is finna lose this title. His booking decisions is not good here. It's just not. I would have put Jurassic Express on this show. I want to try to build them back up. It's like year one all over again. But if you're going with this route, then you might as well just have them on the show. I might as well just have them, use them. That's how you're going to get them over, and how you are going to get people to come back here, Tony, to watch this shit. You got to give these people, you got to stop doing all this outlaw shit and get these people in some stories here. These people are the exact same as day one. And I'm just looking at all this talent that they got over here. You know, a person that just never changed is Moxley. He just came in the exact same way. He has character. That's why I like him. I like his Death Rider group. I like all of them. As bland as they is, you need them, because guess what? If you don't have them on this show, where are you going to get your entertainment from? This show is really going to be an indie show. They're the only big-time superstar names on here. Besides that and the Hurt Syndicate, who else is really steering this ship here? Hangman's promos are rehearsed, drama, acting classes. Okay, now go. I do not take him seriously. I don't understand. That was Dynamite. Dynamite. Then you're going to have everybody on Collision. 6-mans, triple mans. I don't know. It's too much.